Last week we covered the sophomore season of the most entertaining bloodbath on television, Game of Thrones Season 2. We heard all about how the cast moved forward after Sean Bean's surprise exit, and said goodbye to some of the more pivotal characters. It makes you wonder how they plan to top all that drama with Season 3. Think you know the whole story? Think again. I'm Jake with Cinematica, and we're here to give you the inside scoop on how the cast and crew move forward in a bigger and bolder way with Game of Thrones Season 3. From mysterious new characters to soul-crushing deaths, audiences were in for more than a few shocking twists and turns. Whether you're a die-hard fan or just wondering what the fuss is all about, we've got something for everyone as we count down the 107 facts you should know about Game of Thrones Season 3. Let's do this. Number 1. Game of Thrones Season 3 premiered in 2013 and ran for another set of 10 episodes between March and June. Number 2. The directors this season were Daniel Minahan, Alex Graves, Alex Sakharov, Michelle MacLaren, and David Nutter. Graves and MacLaren were new to the show. MacLaren, in particular, had directed huge shows like Breaking Bad and Walking Dead, while Graves had directed a lot of West Wing episodes. Number 3. Due to his busy schedule, the Dark World director Alan Taylor couldn't return in Season 3 to direct any episodes. He was originally replaced by Minahan, who directed 3 episodes in Season 1, A Gold Crown, You Win or You Die, and The Pointy End. Some of his biggest credits include True Blood, 6 Feet Under, and Deadwood. Number 4. Most episodes this season were a few minutes longer than normal. While previous seasons floated around the 52-minute mark, Season 3 saw more 56 to 57-minute episodes. And if we do some quick math there, you'll see that added up to an additional episode worth of content. Number 5. Season 3 saw characters speaking Valyrian more than Dothraki. Language creator David Peterson relates High Valyrian to Latin and developed dialects of Low Valyrian to the Romance languages, such as Spanish, French, Catalan, and Portuguese. Number 6. Much like Spanish and French, High Valyrian uses grammatical genders, but instead of just man and woman, High Valyrian uses 4 genders: lunar, solar, terrestrial, and aquatic. Nouns for humans are normally lunar, body parts and occupations are solar, food and plants are commonly terrestrial, and liquids are aquatic. Number 7. Our chief Valyrian speaker is, of course, Daenerys. Her mother tongue is High Valyrian, but she also mixes in Low Valyrian easily. For example, when she tells Astroporian slave driver Krasnus, quote, "A dragon is not a slave," she uses Low Valyrian word for slave, letting him know that she has understood all his insults. Number 8. Peterson has pulled in some real-world inspiration for his work on Valyrian. Kelly is the word for cat in High Valyrian. That's spelled K-E-L-I, which is the name of Peterson's own cat. And the word son is Tracy, named after his 3,000th Twitter follower, @Tracy2Es. Number 9. Daenerys' ship is actually recycled from the Battle of Blackwater. Apparently, prop boats are pretty expensive, so they really only have one, and it just plays the role of many ships. During the Battle of Blackwater, for instance, it was Fury and Black Betha. It's a very talented, versatile boat when you think about it. Number 10. As the White Walkers loom ever closer, we get a better look at their weapons, ice swords. To achieve their chilling look, the weapons team carved oven-baked clear resin into the shape of swords. Number 11. In order for actors playing archers to work more safely with flaming arrows, weapons master Tommy Dune made some slight adjustments to his arrow's original design. Normal arrows tend to be about 32 inches in length, but for the sake of this shoot, a flaming arrow was between 6 to 8 inches longer. Number 12. The flaming arrows also had a small bit of foam on the end, doused in chemical, that produced a blue flame. Blue fire is used because it's much easier for special effects team to work with. Number 13. Depending on what type of scene they're shooting, actors used different weapons. For glamour shots, they wielded steel blades with brass and wood detailing. But to avoid injury, they're given aircraft aluminum or even rubber swords to clang together for fight scenes, or when live animals were involved. Number 14. The costumes for Season 3 use an astounding 31,653 square feet of leather and fur. Number 15. Just as much work and care goes into each suit of armor. Nikolaj Coster-Waldau gets out of his armor every chance possible because he finds it too heavy. Actor Ian Beattie, who plays Meryn Trant, even joked that Coster-Waldau is a bit of a wuss about it. Number 16. Sophie Turner says the writers like to prank the actors by including fake death scenes in their scripts. They only revealed to the actors that it was a joke weeks later. Number 17. For Season 3, the cast recorded about 6 scenes per day on average. Number 18. This season, while Jon Snow goes beyond the wall, the Game of Thrones cast and crew were actually filming in Europe, at a glacier that I can't pronounce. Number 19. The set for Yunkai was a famous mud brick fortress that has been a great filming location for Hollywood movies, including Gladiator and Lawrence of Arabia. Number 20. Filming required 3 charter planes because the crew topped out at over 700 people. Number 21. Season 3 had 257 cast names recorded, and though most were in small roles, that's still massive compared to most TV shows. Number 22. Many of the extras who are part of the Night's Watch also play the Unsullied. Number 23. Around the release of this season, Lena Headey was apparently broke, with only a few dollars left to her name. You'd wonder how anybody starring in one of the TV's biggest shows could possibly be in that situation. Either way, it's hard to imagine Queen Cersei is in that position now. Number 24. Charles Dance, who plays the iron-fisted Tywin Lannister, also likes to play the ukulele in his spare time. Number 25. Amelia Clark says that in Season 3, Dany is much more accustomed to violence. Apparently, that means she's cool with setting people on fire. Number 26. Kit Harington broke his ankle after he locked himself out of his apartment and then tried to crawl through a window. He was in a cast while filming parts of Season 3. Number 27. Due to the popularity of the catchphrase, "You know nothing, Jon Snow," fans started yelling it at Harington whenever they'd see him in real life, in addition to making jokes about him being a bastard. Harington often says that when he's out with his friends who don't watch the show, it's very jarring to hear people screaming at them. Number 28. The actor who plays Ramsay Snow was almost a very different Snow. He actually auditioned for Jon Snow and nearly got the part. Number 29. Apparently, Rian can sing, making him yet another musical cast member of the show. He's joked in interviews about starting a Game of Thrones band, which we know would make some great music. Number 30. Audiences first met Thomas Brodie Sangster as a small boy that barely reached Liam Neeson's hip in the movie Love Actually. He not only plays Jojen Reed in Game of Thrones, but also Newt in the Maze Runner series. Number 31. Ellie Kendrick plays Mira Reed this season. Kendrick is new to the fantasy world, having appeared in a lot of historically grounded or real-world roles. Needless to say, before this role, she had never used a bow and arrow or skinned a rabbit. Number 32. So this is weird. Kendrick played Anne Frank in the Diary of Anne Frank miniseries, and Brodie Sangster played a young Hitler in Hitler: The Rise of Evil miniseries. Number 33. Daario Naharis is played by Ed Skrein. Similar to Dario's origins as a young pit fighter, Skrein was actually in a gang when he was younger, until he got stabbed, at which point he decided to stop and pick up acting. Actually, that I don't know is true, but at some point he did stop and then he did pick up acting. Number 34. Some heartbreaking news for the fans of Dario's luscious locks. It's a wig. Most of the time, he's bald as a Q-tip. Number 35. Skrein only plays Daario in this season because he was offered the lead in the Transporter series. You may have also seen him in Deadpool. Number 36. Kiri Ingram, who plays the grayscaled Shireen, has a chronic illness herself, osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease. She's broken 30 bones in her lifetime as a result of the condition. However, she said that living with it has actually helped her relate to Shireen. Number 37. During Season 2, the show writers were unsure if they'd be able to adapt Shireen into the show. They used carefully worded dialogue to indicate that Selyse had given Stannis no sons, so that, maybe he gave her a daughter? Really tricky, guys. I see what you did there. Number 38. Shireen's fictional disease, grayscale, is based on the non-fictional disease called fibrodysplasia ossificans progressive. Number 39. In books, Stannis is largely described from the other characters' point of view, so when they adapted him into the show, he was without an emotional story arc. Taking cues from the book, they concentrated his betrayal of Selyse with Melisandre, which was a result of his desperation following Blackwater. Number 40. Orell is a wildling who introduces the audience to Warg's power to jump into the minds of animals. Orell is played by Mackenzie Crook, aka Ragetti from Pirates of the Caribbean. Number 41. Walder Frey is a filthy slimeball and everybody knows it. His overall grossness is largely thanks to the actor David Bradley, who you might also recognize as the slimeball Argus Filch from Harry Potter. Number 42. Diana Rigg, who plays Margaery's grandmother, Elena, was in The Avengers. No, not that Avengers, the 1965 TV series. Number 43. Recognize Mance Rayder? Maybe not without the long silver facial hair. Actor Kieran Hines played Aberforth Dumbledore in the final Harry Potter movie, making him another of the many Potter crossovers in the show. Number 44. Hines was actually irritated by the show at first, finding a lot of the violence and sex to be gratuitous. As the show progressed, however, he says he got more into the storytelling and realized how fantastic it was. Number 45. The role of Mance Rayder almost went to Dominic West, who was on The Wire and currently stars in Showtime's The Affair. Number 46. While Hines isn't alone in criticizing the volume of sex on the show, Natalie Dormer has also voiced her opinion, citing that the solution should not be less sex, but more male nudity. Number 47. Despite sharing a last name, Richard Dormer and Natalie Dormer are not related. Number 48. Rose Leslie actually grew up in a castle in Aberdeenshire. Awfully cushy upbringing for a wildling. Number 49. This season covers roughly the first half of the third book. Episode 1, Valar Dohaeris, corresponds with the prologue of Book 3, and the last episode, Misa, ends with Davos 4. Number 50. The title of the first episode is a High Valyrian phrase meant to be a response to the finale of the previous season. The season 2 finale, when translated, meant all men must die, whereas the season 3 premiere, when translated, means all men must serve. Number 51. The phrase isn't actually spoken in the episode, and wouldn't be spoken until later in the season, specifically the episode The Climb. Number 52. In episode 1, Dany is attacked by a manticore, which seems like an insect. In other mythologies outside the Game of Thrones universe, manticores generally look like lions, not bugs, though they are venomous. Number 53. Arya Stark had some scenes in the first episode, but according to some close to the show, it started to feel pretty cramped in there, so they pushed those scenes to the next episode. Number 54. In one line of dialogue, Cersei tells Tyrion that she heard he had lost his nose. In the books, he actually did. When Sir Mandon Moore attacks him, the front of his nose is severed. However, the TV show decided to go in a different direction because it would provide too much work in post-production. Number 55. George R.R. Martin says that Sir Barristan was the Kingsguard for 40 years before quitting and showing up again in season 3. Number 56. The series premiere was nominated for 3 Primetime Emmys in 2013. 1 for Outstanding Prosthetic Makeup for a Single Camera Series, 1 for Outstanding Visual Effects, and 1 for Outstanding Art Director for a Single Camera Series. It actually won Outstanding Visual Effects. Number 57. In the books, Ostapor slaves are displayed in a plaza of punishment, not a walk. This was changed in the show, however, when the production designers found that their location in Morocco had a walkway lined with gunpowder cannons. The cannons don't exist in the Game of Thrones world, but it also couldn't be moved. To resolve the situation, they covered the cannons with the punished people, thereby creating the walk. Number 58. Martin also describes the Brotherhood without banners as a kind of Robin Hood group. Number 59. Tyrion mentions a contortionist who can perform a sex position called the Milanese knot. This is a nod to book fans who may not know that the Milanese knot is a series of plot-related issues that Martin got into while writing the 5th novel, which caused the novel to be delayed while he, quote, untied it. Number 60. Robb's beheading of Rickard Karkstark was intended to parallel Theon's beheading of Roderick Castle. When Theon first attempted a beheading, he did so sloppily and took several strokes to finish the job, showing that he wasn't properly following the ways of Ned. Robb, by contrast, was able to kill Rickard in one blow, because he did take up his father's legacy. However, the same music is used in both scenes to illustrate that both are making a grave mistake. Number 61. For the decapitation scene, the production really wanted it to be raining, which normally isn't a lot to ask for in Northern Ireland. However, in this case, there was a bizarre lack of rain at the time, so they had to use rain machines. Number 62. The original title of The Bear and the Maiden Fair was Autumn Storms, as announced on Martin's blog. However, later, he announced that the title had changed to Chains. Finally, the episode got its current title after the scenes with the bear and the maiden were moved into the episode. Number 63. How did they make Jaime getting his hand severed even more shocking? Simple. Followed up by slamming modern rock song behind it. Co-creator D.B. Weiss says that they wanted to leave the viewers uneasy, and they didn't think they could do that with the traditional Game of Thrones score. So, by using a contemporary song, they caught their audience completely off guard, hoping to capture the shocking moment they felt while reading the book. Number 64. The song was performed by New York-based band The Hold Steady. Guitarist Tad Kubler is friends with Peter Dinklage. The two used to play pool together in Brooklyn. Both the show creators and Martin liked the Hold Steady song so much that they subsequently offered Kubler a cameo appearance on the show. Number 65. The cave in which Jon Snow and Ygritte get, busy! Was used in the show before. The set was in Belfast, Ireland, in the same cave that the Brotherhood Without Banners resided in. Number 66. Harrington and Leslie were actually dating at the time of the cave sex scene. Number 67. For the nude scene in the cave, Harrington used a body double. His butt wasn't actually his. It was only a stunt butt. Number 68. Here's a sentence I bet you thought you'd never hear. My second proudest moment as a writer on this show was when I walked on set and saw those dead baby props. That's story editor Brian Cogman, who, in a half-sleeping stupor, invented the idea of Stannis' wife, Selyse, preserving her stillborn children. He thought it would be too crazy to roll with, but lo and behold, dead baby props. Number 69. Cogman refers to the climax of Kissed by Fire as a Lannister family Christmas. He says that starting the episode with a bang and having a climax with a relatively more mellow dinner scene was on purpose. Number 70. Kissed by Fire won a 2013 Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Non-Prosthetic Makeup for a single-camera series. Number 71. When the Wildlings climbed the wall in the episode The Climb, they used the wrong wall climbing technique, and most experts claim that the tactic probably wouldn't work. Number 72. In order to film that scene, the crew built a 50-foot wall indoors. Number 73. While climbing, the actors had safety wires and were lifted up in a harness. But during filming, they were really climbing. Leslie says it was fun, but very hard on the arms. Some of the actors claim that the fear that they show in the climbing scene was real, because it was really scary being up that high. Number 74. Harrington describes Mance Rayder as the smartest person in the Wildling camp, and the directors say that it's Jon Snow and Mance Rayder's intelligence that connects them and helps them see eye to eye. Number 75. The episode The Climb had the most viewers that season, with 5.5 million people tuning in. Number 76. In the episode The Bear and the Maiden Fair, where Jaime returns to Harrenhal to rescue Brienne, Locke tells Jaime to go buy yourself a golden hand and fuck yourself with it. Ironically enough, a shiny golden hand from his sister Cersei the following season. Number 77. They had a real bear on set for the fight with Brienne, but they also had a guy in a bear costume to make filming easier when the bear wasn't actually on set. Number 78. Fans are introduced to the marching song The Bear and the Maiden Fair as Roose Bolton and his bannermen are trotting to Harrenhal. The bard who starts the song is played by none other than Gary Lightbody, the lead singer and rhythm guitarist of Snow Patrol. Number 79. It's no surprise that some Game of Thrones fans like to film themselves and others reacting to new episodes, especially The Red Wedding. During an interview on Conan, Martin was shown a short compilation of fans reacting to his show. It was mostly screaming and crying and more screaming, followed by Martin's giggling. Number 80. Did you notice something suspicious about the musicians at the Red Wedding ceremony? Exactly. It's Coldplay drummer Will Champion. Number 81. Game of Thrones has been said to draw inspiration from the War of the Roses, all the way down to the specific events. For example, the Red Wedding is based on the Black Dinner. A Scottish lord and his clansmen were invited to a dinner at the king's house by an opposing faction. Everything was fine until the Scottish clan was served a black bull's head, which is a Scottish symbol for death. Then, they were all put to death in the courtyard. Number 82. Oh, there's also a second mass murder the Red Wedding drew inspiration from. It was the Glencoe Massacre. As the MacDonald clan slept under the Campbell clan's roof, the Campbells awoke and slaughtered every MacDonald they can find. And just when you think Game of Thrones is the most brutal thing out there, all you have to do is look at history and realize life can be way, way worse. Number 83. The Red Wedding not only left fans in tears, but also cast members too. Michelle Fearley reportedly cried while watching the Red Wedding scene for the Season 3 DVD commentary. It was the first time she had seen the scene outside of her Caitlyn gear. Richard Madden, too, admits to being a crazy boy on the plane crying as he flew away from Ireland after filming the scene. Number 84. To celebrate the successful launch of the Season 3 DVD and Blu-ray, cast, crew, and journalists enjoyed a Game of Thrones evening complete with custom Red Wedding-themed cake, stacked high with daggers, arrows, and blood. The confectionery construction was made by a Brighton chocolatier, Chalky Walkie Doodah. Number 85. In case you wanted to break bread the Westerosi way, Chef Chelsea Monroe Castle has crafted a recipe. Her blog, In at the Crossroads, has also been turned into HBO's official cookbook companion for the show. Number 86. Martin says he knew he had to kill Robb Stark from almost the very beginning. He explains that Robb's rising to avenge his father and taking up the hero's mantle is what the readers would expect. So, quote, immediately killing Robb became the next thing I had to do. Number 87. Martin initially skipped the Red Wedding chapter when first writing A Storm of Swords. The entire book was finished before he went back to write that chapter, and it was the hardest thing he's ever had to write. It was like murdering 2 of your children, he said. Number 88. Apparently, people love violence, because after the Red Wedding, Season 3 saw an overall 20% boost in viewership. This is most likely due to the Twitter hurricane after the rains of Castamere cleared. Number 89. Martin wanted to cameo in the episode as one of the casualties, but wasn't able to make it to the shooting location due to scheduling conflicts. If he had, it would mean that not even George R.R. Martin is safe from being killed by George R.R. Martin. Number 90. The directors purposefully made the Red Wedding seem like it was going well before everybody died, and they purposely made it last an uncomfortably long amount of time. Number 91. The Red Wedding was one of the main reasons that Weiss and Benioff wanted to make the Game of Thrones in the first place. Number 92. I bet you think you had a hard time watching Ramsay's sausage scene. Rian had to spend the whole morning eating sausage over and over again for hours and hours. Number 93. As usual, there were quite a few differences between the show and the books. Here are just a few of them. In the show, Robb falls in love and marries Talisa Magger, but in the books he marries Jane Westerling, the daughter of Lannister bannerman. In the book, Jane does not get pregnant because her mother was secretly poisoning her under orders from Tywin. Number 94. In the books, Renly Baratheon and Loras Tyrell's relationship is largely heard, but never seen. Not only is it showcased more in the show, but other people seem to be more aware of it too, with several characters all making not-so-subtle comments about it this season. Number 95. In the books, Martin points out that there are lots of little hints that the Freys are conspiring with the Boltons and the Lannisters to kill the Starks. Roose Bolton's page is a Frey. The Lannister boys' prisoners are related to the Freys, and Rosalind Frey can't stop crying during the ceremony. Also, he mentions that the musicians are awful, showing that they aren't actually musicians. Number 96. On the show, as Roose prepares to send Robb to the afterlife to join his wife and unborn son, he says the now famous one-liner,
"The Lannisters send their regards."
In the books, however, the line goes, Jaime Lannister sends his regards. Number 97. Major Season 3 player and bastard son of King Robert Baratheon, Gendry, is actually playing out two storylines in one. In the books, Gendry is one of two surviving heirs, the other being Edric Storm. Edric's storyline, which involves being captured by Stannis, leeched, and nearly sacrificed, is merged with Gendry's for the show. Number 98. Shay's heart is torn to pieces after Tyrion, the love of her life, is married to Sansa, her friend and confidant. In the books, however, Shay doesn't consider the little girl a rival for Tyrion's heart, and gets to show off her merciful side more than she does in the show. Number 99. The Starks first get wind of Theon's rumored demise in the books when a piece of skin shows up at the Red Wedding. Theon's torture takes place mainly off-page, and even his castration, which is very explicit in the show, is only implied in the books. Number 100. Martin is very satisfied with the way logistics and politics is shown in the series. One of his biggest pet peeves with fantasy or sci-fi novels is a war boiling down to just two armies fighting. Number 101. Martin and his wife Paris are both big Grateful Dead fans. In honor of the band co-founder and guitarist Bob Weir, he named the trees worshipped in the Old Faith Weirwood trees. Number 102. After this season, the show creators also tried to reduce the number of regular exposition and planning scenes filmed while walking in the garden, after South Park made fun of them in a parody episode. Number 103. There are several burlesque parodies of Game of Thrones, including Dames of Thrones and Live, Dirty, and Dangerous. One show in particular, Burlesque is Coming, a tribute to the works of George R.R. Martin, got high praise from the big man himself. Number 104. Piracy continues to be a problem for Game of Thrones, but HBO doesn't really mind. Season 3's finale was downloaded over 5.9 million times, and the first episode of Season 3 was pirated so much that it was the most shared file in BitTorrent's history. CEO Richard Plepler sees it as a great marketing vehicle for new viewers. Number 105. Season 3 routinely had between 4 and 6 million viewers per episode, a steady rise from Season 2, and part of the series' consistent growth since Season 1. Number 106. There are a total of 86 deaths in Season 3. That's a decline from Season 2, though somehow that hasn't helped the crying. Number 107. Out of the first 3 seasons, Season 3 is the least sexually explicit. In fact, there are only 31 total instances of nudity.
What's up guys, this is Suarez from Cinematica. Thanks for watching 107 Facts About Game of Thrones Season 3. If you like this video, make sure to check out 107 Facts About Game of Thrones Season 2. And of course, we have this great video, The Worst Ways to Die in Game of Thrones. Make sure to like this video and subscribe, because we're bringing you the best of movies and televisions all the time. And this is Cinematica, where we help you watch smarter.